Hi and welcome to another episode of ReaperTV. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at how we can get great guitar tones, how we can use some free virtual amplifiers and some free impulse responses and control the sound without spending a penny. So let's take a look at how we can do that now. So I've got a session open in front of me and I've got some guitar tracks, and if we take a listen to this solo track, it's just a DI with an EQ and a compressor applied to it. So if we listen to it, we're just going to get a clean DI signal. So there we go, just a clean signal. Let's pop that into stereo so we can just hear it a little better. So the first thing we're going to do is load in a virtual amplifier. Now I'm going to restrict this entire video to being completely free virtual amps, and there's some fantastic ones out there. I'll link to all the ones in this video in the description below. But we're going to start off with one of two different amplifier models. So if we just come up to the track we're going to work with, and I'll just click to insert our new effect, and we'll add, I'm just going to go down and we're going to start off with the 8505 lead from Mercurial Labs. Now this is basically a PV amplifier, or it's modeled on a PV amp, and if we bring it in you can see it's very reminiscent. So let's just take a listen to what that sounds like now, and you can turn the volume down because these tend to be quite loud, of just this virtual amplifier on its own. So it sounds like a fizzy mess. It's disgusting. So let's just switch back over to a mixer and put that we want in the signal chain. So I don't want that to be last. I want that to come before the EQ and after the compressor. So even with the EQ, and I've just got my normal sort of scoop on this, and this isn't tuned specifically to this amplifier, but that's the rough starting point I'd work with. If we take a listen to that, it's still going to sound like absolute garbage. The reason for this is because what we're doing is we're just listening to the head with no speaker cabinets applied to it. So this is just kind of emulating what the head would sound like without being influenced by the 412 cabinet, the 212 cabinet, 112, the kind of thing that you use in the studio. So what we're going to do is we're going to load in what are called impulse responses, and what they do is they emulate the sound of a particular speaker or speaker cabinet with different kinds of microphones, so like an SM57 on axis, off axis, on the cone, or possibly a 421. So we're going to take a look at how we can load that in now, and we're going to take a look at what that does to the sound and how we can make a big improvement on this fizzy sounding pile of garbage that we currently have. So the ones we're going to use are the free Mercurial Cabs. So again, let's just come into load in our effects, and let's add a new effect in there, and we're kind of Mercurial. Now, like I say, these are completely free, and just follow the instructions to install them. It's a pretty straightforward affair with Reaper. So all we're going to do is open up the Mercurial Cab 3, which is the latest version. And if we bring that over, you can see what that gives us is a very simple interface that allows us to choose from 3 different microphones, 3 different positions, the amount of power and the amount of dynamics that are going through it. And we can also fine-tune the input. And this is the reason why I've chosen the 8505, and we'll quickly take a look at the X50 later, because these are 2 completely free virtual amp modelers, and this particular cab emulation has been tied in closely to those to ensure that the tunings are very faithful to what those types of amplifiers would sound like in this environment. So we're using the 8505, so we'll switch that on. We'll leave it to the SM57 to start off with. We'll leave its position to cap and everything else. If we take a quick look at the top, you can see we've got the options to turn on high quality, stereo, maximize it, or we can listen to just the dynamics only. We can control the input and the output signal, and we can control the energy and frequency. If we click the X on this, we can quickly go in and load in different cab impulse responses. Should we find we've got new ones coming in, we can select the folder and install those into it. So let's just take a listen now to the difference that we get with this switched on and off. So let's just come in and just hit the play. So we've already got a much more realistic sounding guitar amplifier going through a 412 cabinet, and if I'm mistaken, this is based upon a Marshall 412, probably in 1960 with 75 watts or possibly vintage 30s in there. So it's given us a good representation of what that's going to sound like and a massive improvement over the original sound. So let's just A-B that a second. So we'll listen to it, first of all, with the cab emulation on, and then I'll disable the cab emulation so you can hear the difference between the two. So I'm sure you can tell the big difference there between the fizzy, horrible amp simulator on its own and the big difference we get once we start to put in the impulse responses for the speaker cabinet. So the next thing we're going to do is just going to quickly flick through some of the different positions on this and the different microphones, so you can kind of get a sort of, you can tell what the different voicings are going to sound like and how you could get those to sit in your mix. The other thing I can quickly do is just take that up and drop it underneath the cab, because I want the impulse responses to be loaded before any EQs are applied to it. So let's take a look at the microphones, let's take a look at the different mic positions, and we'll see what they sound like. Okay, so let's just try the microphones out. Now the mic positions. Just the dynamics. And if we wanted to just more, so I'm pretty sure you can see that even with these just simple looking settings, we can actually get a range of different tones. We can also obviously come in and change the amplifier. So we can come in and adjust settings to anything on there. So if you want to control this now in relation to 412 cabinet, we can adjust that as well. Okay, so that's the 8505 alongside the Mercurial Cab. And as you can see, like I said, we've got the fine tuning here for the X50, which is another free virtual amplifier. So let's just quickly switch over to that one and see the differences. Okay, so let's load the X50 in. And let's position that where we need that in the signal chain, which obviously before the cab emulation, otherwise we just bypass that completely. So as you can see, this is definitely modeled on a 5150 style amplifier from Peavey. So let's just switch the input tunings over to the X50, set everything back to the defaults, and let's have a little listen to that now. So finally, let's just have a little listen to how this particular thing sits inside the whole mix. Now, I haven't EQ'd this, but it's going to give you a good idea of what it'll sound like with drums and bass and everything else going on inside a mix. So let's have a listen to that now. So I think it sounds pretty good, to be honest. So hopefully what this has done is it's shown you can get great guitar tones without spending a penny. It gives you a great range of options to fine-tune the sound that you want. Obviously, you're not limited to using any of these plugins. There are lots of other free ones out there, but hopefully what you can see is that using impulse responses, along with a virtual amplifier, can get you very close to what a real amplifier would sound like without having to set up and purchase multiple microphones, speaker cabinets, and rooms and things like that. Well, I hope you found this useful. If you have, please hit the subscribe button below to be kept up to date with all of the new tutorials added. If you've got any comments, questions, or feedback on this video or anything else we've got on the channel, please pop those in the comments section below. And until next time, happy mixing.